This
Um,
conference will now be
now that we're
recorded.
now that we're gonna get started, I really do appreciate everyone joining today. Um, we do accept a lot of questions throughout the demo presentation, so please put it in the chat. We will have time at the end of the presentation, about 15 or 20 minutes, to answer any questions you guys see throughout the whole demo presentation. Now I want to introduce Mr. Abraham Jenkins. He's actually the CEO of Launchpad to start off the demo presentation. AJ?
Hey, Jonathan, thank you for the introductions, and Brian, thanks for getting everybody set up. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe out there. Launchpad, Team Launchpad will be doing this demo and presentation, but it's really on behalf of the team at EDD in regards to CalWire. And I see Jaime there as well, Jaime, so I might give you an opportunity to say some opening words here as well. But the objective of today is to kind of share with you all the vision and the mission and the roadmap for the CalWire California Workforce Intake and Referral Exchange program or project that is being spearheaded by EDD. So we will be walking you through that. We'll do some brief introductions on our team and then share with you the agenda. And then we'll walk through about a 10-minute presentation to give everybody just a high-level overview of what CalWire, the intent of CalWire. But before I get to that, I'd like to introduce Jaime Gutierrez. I know everybody probably knows Jaime, but I would like to introduce Jaime with EDD, and maybe you'd like to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, AJ. We are very excited about this particular effort and hope that all of you after this demo will be very excited about it as well. This started, over a year, about approximately a year and a half ago, I think, maybe a little longer than that. And it started through an effort established by Department of Labor, which included Jennifer Hernandez when she was part of our labor agency at that point in time. She was spearheading it at the time, and we're very excited about this. So this is a focus. The focus and intent of this particular effort is to bring partners together through the process of co-enrollment and through the process of common intake. So we're, again, very excited, appreciate the work that Launchpad is doing on this effort, and look forward to working with all of you as we bring everybody together on this particular application and effort. Thank you, AJ.
Great. Thanks, Jaime, for the introduction. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll introduce the speakers today. So I think Jonathan introduced me earlier. My name is Abraham Jenkins, or AJ, with Launchpad. In addition, we have on the phone here today Jerry Ann Armendariz, who is our Senior Solution Architect and Product Manager. And then to round out the Launchpad team, we have Jonathan Luong, who is the Business and Account Manager here at Launchpad. But I'd also like to introduce another speaker today as well, Brian Hasler, Chief Executive Officer of Abillion. Brian's on the phone. Maybe you want to say hello to the team.
Thank you so much, AJ. Yes, so great to meet everyone on this call. We are very close partners with Launchpad and Workforce Experts, and really are very excited about the potential of what we can do with everyone on the call. So great to meet everyone. We're silver partners also with Salesforce. Myself have 16 Salesforce certifications, and really focus on the architecture of all builds and sign off on them to make sure that it meets all of the expectations. So great to meet everyone.
Great, thanks, Brian. So for our agenda today, part of this is going to be, high-level vision of the CalWire project, and then also we're going to share with you the project roadmap where we're currently at, and then obviously we want to spend the majority of the time walking you through the demo. Some of this that we'll share with you today is future state, meaning it may not be in the first phase, but the intent is to really kind of give you all an idea of the vision for CalWire, where the department and agency believes it will go, and so forth. So we'll talk about the challenges, that the various WIOA partners currently encounter and deal with. We'll talk about CalWire. We'll share a little bit about Launchpad for those of you who are not familiar, to put it in context, how our platform is being used to implement and deliver this project. And then we want to kind of share with you, the client profiles and referrals, and how that can work between and exchanging between partners. And then I will pass things off to Brian, who will talk about the project roadmap. And then Brian will pass it off to Jerry Ann Armendariz, our product manager, who will walk you all through a terrific demo that we have for you today. So with that being said, we'll get started into kind of the vision here. So I think we want to paint this in a picture of really what will CalWire look like for the job seeker as well as the agency. But I think good question is to ask ourselves, you know, what if a job seeker was able to literally complete a single online form and based on her responses was automatically matched with available employment programs in the area, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a nice vision? And additionally, what if by completing this form, referral records were sent out to program partners, right? So your team, your staff didn't have to complete multiple forms across, you know, the state in order to get this job seeker registered, right? So, and then in addition, what if they could actually see a 360-degree view of her profile and reemployment journey, right? So this is the big idea. This is really where, you know, when Jaime came to me and said, hey, we've got to figure out, you know, the vision of CalWire. We have to figure out how we reduce paperwork, how we make it easier for the job seeker and make it easier for staff. So just to kind of, you know, give an example of current state, right? And I'm sure you all are familiar with this, right? But let's take a look at a job seeker here. Here we've got an example of, this is a fictitious person, but Kayla, you know, she's a single mother living in El Monte, California. You know, after high school, she got a job working as an office assistant in the garment industry. Happens to be the same employer that her mother and her aunt works for, right? So they were able to help get her a job. Unfortunately, as a result of COVID-19 and the recession, her employer had to lay her off and downsize. In addition to that, Kayla happens to also be a single parent, has a disability, and is also a dreamer, right? So we've got someone who has this amazing potential and all of these qualifications, but the reality is, as a result, she's had to, you know, in order to get services, Kayla may have to go to 4 or 5 or 6 different applications in order to get those services, whether it's, you know, and I'll use your language here, you know, WIOA Title I or adult, or if it's, you know, vocational rehab, or if it's, you know, SNAP ENT or CalFresh ENT, you know, she has to go and complete all of those different applications just to know if she is a match for those programs. So the vision is, how do we change this, right? And how do we make this process easier for the job seeker? But in addition to that, how do we enable this exchange of information across these agencies? And so that's really the intent of CalWire, is one, to reduce the data collection burdens on the client. Number two, streamline and expedite data collection for the workforce staff. So obviously all of your staff are having to gather the same exact information, you know, name and contact information and demographic information and barriers. All of that's being captured at all of your different departments and agencies. And it's quite, at the end of the day, it's redundant and it's a lot of extra workload. And then how do we assist with either co-enrollment and referral exchange between the partners, right? So this is the vision and mission of, you know, CalWire. A little bit about Launchpad. I'm sure many of you are familiar with us, but I'll just go briefly over one slide. We were founded in 2012. We are the vendor for this project. Launchpad is a COTS application specifically for workforce, human services, social services, and we work with numerous agencies, not only across the state of California, but also across the country. We've got 120 organizations that are utilizing Launchpad to do very similar in what we're talking about today. Specifically, we're working with San Francisco, Los Angeles County, the City of Los Angeles. We just started a wonderful project with the Foundation for California Community Colleges. We're also working with Detroit, Atlanta, Wisconsin. But at the end of the day, our mission is how do we help, you know, organizations such as you all modernize, right, in this new era that we're dealing with. How we're doing this, and we'll show you here on the demo a little bit today, is that Launchpad's platform is basically a COTS platform, and COTS stands for Configurable Off-the-Shelf Platform, that allows you to quickly implement tools such as Common Intake, which is what CalWire is being built on top of. We also have the ability to do analytics, case management, and, you know, provider and program management. All of these are modules that are out of the box and already built and implemented with dozens of organizations across the country. So How this is helping with this specific project is, one, you'll see the roadmap. We're going to be able to get this implemented here in the next few weeks, right? And something like this, most states, it would take months. The other thing here is you're not going to have to repeat to us your lingo and your terminology, because we understand workforce development, WIOA, SNAP, refugee, voc rehab. We understand these terms and these programs. And then in addition, our platform is very secure and scalable. We happen to be built on top of the Salesforce platform. So we are a native application built on top of Salesforce, which gives the state tremendous scalability. So what we're going to show you today here, in addition to that ability for the intake of that job seeker and matching of that job seekers, we'll show you the ability to, essentially match across all of these different programs that we have here, Kayla. So she could match against adult, adult ed, CalFresh ENT, vocational rehabilitation, based on certain requirements and information that is either inputted by the job seeker or inputted by the staff, or comes over from another system. So that's, at a high level, that's kind of what we're going to be sharing with you. We wanted to keep the presentation part short and sweet. I'm going to reintroduce Brian here with Abilion, who is our implementation partner, and Brian is going to share with you the project roadmap, where we are today and what is forthcoming. So Brian, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Perfect, thank you so much. So as AJ was saying, right, we have Launchpad customized for workforce development. We have that all built in there. So something that could take, for other times, years potentially even, this is condensed into almost a little over 2 months if you look at this timeline. And this is a real timeline. It's not just something we have for the demo. This is a realistic timeline. And you can see from this right here with Launchpad, because really we have all that workforce development experience on there, we're really just configuring the last 30% of it. So that's how we're able to accomplish this and really stay on that track. As you look through it, we have very tight control of the timeline. Everything is broken up into sprints. And with that, we can turn something that might be complex into very, very controlled implementations for each one of these. So everything we're talking about right now, where we have disjointed departments, where we have a lack of communication, maybe something that's too repetitive or duplicate, we're taking care of that here. We're actually integrating CalJobs and CDSS inside of Launchpad, right? We have case management there, really taking all that disjointed information and bringing it to one platform, Launchpad. And that's what you're seeing in this roadmap right here. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Ann to show us a little more of the demo.
Great, thanks, Brian. Jerry Ann, we'll tee you up. Not sure if you're, and I'm going to stop presenting and let you present. Actually, I think you have control of that, Brian, so I'll let you change presenter. While you're doing that, a couple things on the integration. So as the Sprint 1, as you mentioned, is we're currently integrating with CalJobs and CDSS. So that's currently Sprint 1 and 2. Case management, we say that in case management, this is not replacing any existing case management systems. It's really a place of repository to see and view the referrals and exchanges of that job seeker across the multiple systems and programs. So it won't be replacing existing systems for EDD, but it will be a place to view where those referrals are going, who's being referred, et cetera. Okay, great. Jerry, we can see your screen, but we can't hear you, so.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks folks. All right, so today we're gonna walk through some key features in the Launchpad application. So high level, Launchpad is made up of multiple modules. Our key modules are case management, business services, event management, and our newest one, grant management. So today we're going to focus on the case management module. So key features that we'll cover, of course, common intake, program eligibility matching, job matching, and then referrals and co-enrollments. So let's get started with common intake. So basically, Common Intake brings together all of the key features that I just mentioned into one really easy to use interface. So while I won't populate every field on this form, We'll just go through each page and talk through just high level what each page is capturing. Okay, so page 1, contact information, pretty much just name, contact numbers, and address. And of course, you'll see up top here, we have a progress bar, so you know how far you are within the form. Some demographic information, gender, race, ethnicity, languages. On the next page, we're capturing some employment and education information. So we're looking for not only past info, but at the point of entering the program, where they stand. Page 4 is where we capture skills and wages. Staying on this page for a moment, this page relates to our auto job matching. So within Launchpad, we are able to look at 2 components to determine if a job seeker is a good match for a job that's currently open. So we look at the wage that the job seeker is looking for, and also what skills the job seeker has. And then Launchpad will automatically go into the database, look through all jobs to try to find one that matches, in this scenario, Kayla's skill set. And also the wage range of the job is within the wage that Kayla is looking for. Now, we can create job applications, and Kayla can, of course, apply for jobs, but this is Launchpad's way of just kind of quickly giving you insight into, hey, more like recommendations. We believe Kayla would be a good fit for this job. And then as a case manager, you could take it to the next step with the job application. We'll go next here. And then we're capturing barriers. Yes.
Martin from IO. I've managed to install your WebEx software, but I can't seem to connect to the meeting. Is there a URL or a meeting that I can plug into the join a meeting text box that's asking me to join this meeting? Because I can't see anything that's going on. It would be most helpful if I could actually join the meeting.
Yes, Jonathan, can you connect with them? And there is a URL that goes directly to that. I would tell you right now it's www.gotomeeting.me/Hasler Solutions. Hasler spelled H-A-S-L-E-R-S, or excuse me, H-A-S-L-E-R, and then Solutions. But Jonathan, maybe you can connect offline and help make sure he is able to connect.
I've been trying that and it doesn't seem to work.
What we'll do is, this is being recorded. We'll make sure to send you the recording just in case. I apologize you can't get on for some reason.
Okay, but listening, it makes no sense to me. So I'm just going to hang up and listen to the recording at a later date.
Do you want to post your cell phone? Maybe one of us can give you a call on a separate line and try to get you on it if you'd like. Or
Martin, this is Jaime. Yeah, we'll send you the link and information. Feel free to go ahead and just be off this particular presentation. It's fine. We'll send you all the link with the actual recording, Martin. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry about that, Martin. Okay, so page 5. So now we're on the barriers page, and typically barriers will, in some cases, relate to program eligibilities. So with most agencies, they're requiring all of these fields just to make sure we could look at all the potential programs that the job seeker could be eligible for. And just speaking kind of along the lines of what AJ said, the scalability of Common Intake, whatever that paper form or digital form looks like, it can easily plug into Launchpad. We can require fields, add help text. All of those things are configurable within the platform. No code. Common Intake is really a no code solution as far as the maintenance. So just want to call that out. Okay, so we'll populate some barrier info. And now we're going to click Save and Next. So at this point, Launchpad is taking all the information that's been collected for that job seeker, and then it's going to look at all the programs and the criteria for those programs to see if this job seeker is eligible. So on the back end, your program team, they are managing these program records. So for instance, WIOA Adult. Within Launchpad, you define the criteria for a job seeker to show as eligible. So WIOA Adult, are you an adult, and are you authorized to work in the United States? Right? If both of those are identified as the job seeker, we will show that they are potentially eligible for WIOA Adult services. So very similar to job matching. And then just another quick call out, as you work with the job seeker through their journey, if anything changes, maybe a transportation issue, childcare issue, as you're updating that job seeker profile, Launchpad is constantly looking to say, okay, information has been updated based on the change. Are there any other programs that could help this job seeker? So job matching, program eligibility, all that is taking place during common intake.
This is Justin from
Yes.
EDD. Real quick, other programs that they show eligibility for, does that include educational programs as well?
Yes, pretty much any program that you want to show eligibility and also be able to generate referrals to partners. It's all record-based, so you would enter in those programs, and as soon as you define the criteria, the very next time someone goes through common intake, those programs would then be available.
Okay,
if I can add to and clarify, when we're using the term eligibility, we don't want to say that this is determining eligibility for each agency and department. Now, we do have clients that are using it that way, but this is probably a better term to say matches, right? These participants or clients are matches for these programs. You would obviously need to go on and do your traditional eligibility process, from the case management side to confirm eligibility. But so the term we're probably using is these are potential matches for programs once we send over those referrals.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. That's very helpful.
Absolutely. Jerry, sorry about that.
As Nicole calls it, it's a soft eligibility check. Good point. Thanks for clarifying,
Right.
DJ.
No problem.
Okay, great. So I am going to go ahead and select and say, yes, I would like to send out to partners some referrals, and I'm going to go ahead and select all three of these programs, and then I'm going to click Create Referrals. Let's see. So as soon as that happens, we look here, you'll see 3 referrals were sent out to 3 different partners. So you can define based on the program, these are the partners that we would send the referral to. EDD is taking it to the next level where there could be multiple partners that can be referred based on the program. So what we're adding on top of our referral is some custom routing. So not only are we looking at the program to determine the referral partner, if that program has multiple partners, then we're using the zip code. So we're doing a bit of geolocation to see which partner is closest to that job seeker. So definitely some customizations that can be done around referrals, and that's the approach that we're taking for EDD. I'll take a pause. Any questions on common intake?
Yeah, this is Justin again, real quick. You mentioned geolocation data. Is that data that EDD needs to provide, or is that a feed coming from outside of from you guys, and is there any other data that EDD has to in support of this program? Do they have to supply that?
Great question. So the geolocation is actually built into the platform. And what we're working with Nicole on is basically EDD will provide us the table of zip codes and the partner that supports each zip codes. And then if for whatever reason there's a zip code that is not, we can't find within that table, there will be like a default partner that they will go to. So we have the geolocation, we're choosing, EDD is choosing to use zip code, but we could also use address, any geolocation data point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
By the way, some of my questions are in the context of information security. So I'm part of the information security enforcement team here, and so I'm just looking at the data types, the regulatory components around them, our connections, the uptime, confidentiality, things like that. So that's where I'm coming from.
You got it. And I did see some emails earlier. It looks like Nicole is going to schedule a second demo specific to IT and ISO. So we could really get into the technical, more look at the back end configuration security. So there is a part 2. I think it's going to go out for next Thursday. So more to come on that.
All right, thank you.
You got it. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to a profile that has some good data. So give me one sec. Let me just lower my GoToMeeting component here. Okay. So as we talked about, we're capturing maybe about 5 different, I guess, objects, information from the job seeker. Once that job profile has been saved, you'll see there's additional data that we're capturing throughout the journey of the job seeker. So in this case, Kayla Espinoza. So from a quick glance, we can see what step she is in the journey. We can get an idea of her skill set based on category. And then we also have a component to see any type of activity, and then also chatter, which if we have time, we'll get into towards the end. This is the collaborative tool that will allow case managers and partners and other agencies to collaborate on the job seeker profile itself. So sharing information, if there's questions, you wouldn't have to go through email. All the communication, if it's related to a job seeker, would happen directly in Launchpad, including the ability to email job seekers as well. So I'm going to go through each tab and talk through high level, what type of data we're capturing, and then we're going to dive into some reports. So first glance at the top, you've got what we call quick links. So it's a way that you can quickly get to the data, or maybe just hover over it to be able to see the information. And then down here in the details, we are bucketing that information just for ease of navigation. So when we look at program enrollments, this is where we could see, and again, I know there's different terminology, but we'll see the kind of soft eligibility checks. We will see the actual programs that the job seeker has been enrolled in. So one thing we're doing with EDD and the CalJobs integration is once they are enrolled in a program within CalJobs, that data will then come into Launchpad, so we can see those enrollments, including enrollment date as well as exit date. And then referrals, right? So any referrals that have been sent out to partners, and then of course you can take a look at what's pending and what referrals have been completed. In the development tab, so we're tracking client skills. So as you saw from Common Intake, we're gathering the skills that Kayla came to the table with, and then as she receives supportive services from partners, maybe attend some training courses, we can then identify any skills gained since she started working, since Common Intake. A place for job seeker assessments. So if there's any type of assessment that you're doing for your job seekers, you could document it here, as well as any follow-up assessments. So essentially you can kind of see, again, the journey and all the assessments that have taken place, and ideally, the increase in the math and reading scores, whatever type of data you're capturing for assessments. We have a place for certifications. So certifications, two parts. What certifications did Kayla come to the table with? And are there any certifications that she's gained while working with EDD? And then the last three, employment plans. So any type of plan for employment. An employment plan could be, these are the skills that we're looking to gain. Maybe there's a long-term employment plan for a certification. And then once you come up with your plan, then you have development needs. So what are the needs in order to complete the plan? And then what are the goals? So you can define short-term and long-term goals. And then as those goals are completed, you can check them off. And then again, you can add as many goals as needed. We move over to employment.
Jerry, real quick, I'm going to try to get a couple of people that may not have been able to get on. So I think a couple of people needed to get on still. So I'm going to do that.
You got it. Okay. The employment tab. So this is where we'll capture employment history. And we really think of employment history similar to a resume. So at the time of intake, just capturing companies they've worked with, what the wages are. And then below that, what we talked about, that job matching functionality. So again, as skills are gained, the case manager can check here to see, are there any jobs that Kayla now matches to? So from here, they can see the job, and they can also see the percentage of skills matched. And this is something within the Launchpad application that you can toggle. So you could say, in order for a match, they have to have all of the skill sets, or to identify a match, which again could also be called a recommendation, we could say Kayla has to match with 50% of the skills. So you control what percentage the Launchpad looks at to determine if a job match should be created. And then again, as Kayla's gaining skills, ideally these matches will start to increase. From the matches, a job application can be submitted. And then again, a job application could also be submitted if there is not a match or a recommendation. So you'll see this here. And then any hires, and the hires are really a result of the work of the services that we've provided Kayla. So if Kayla gets hired, let's say, something happens 60 days later, she's looking for employment again, we'll be able to track the history and all the jobs that we've helped her obtain.
Mm-hmm. And just to call it out, Jerry, and here, this is really a key feature for everyone on the call, the matching right there, because it does really see what is recommending to them, right, without having to search that. So really getting the best match for them, and that's the engine kind of behind Launchpad helping with that. So just wanted to call that piece out.
Yeah, that's a good call. And then on the flip side, when you are looking at a job, so a job order, you will also be able to see the job seekers that match to that job. So you get to see them on both sides. And then event training attendance, sorry, I don't have test data here, but this is where within the event management module that Launchpad has, we have a way of tracking training events, job fairs, recruitment events, and then, I know we're not doing this right away with EDD, but we also have other agencies that use a community, so a portal where job seekers can go online, see the events that are taking place, enroll in the events, and just kind of aside, something cool we're doing for San Francisco is with job fairs, and now there's more virtual interviews that are taking place. Job seekers have the ability to not only register for the job fair, but actually sign up for virtual interviews that will be taking place. And then that's a module all on its own. And then the last piece, just a place for case notes, and then any documentation that we receive from Kayla, we can upload, and then we have a way to give a type so we can quickly find the information that we're looking for. Any questions on the job seeker profile? All right, let's keep going. And then again, folks, as AJ said, we can customize as far as the data points that you're looking to capture. And then what we're showing here is really all the different types of data. But if there's certain things that you're not using, it's really simple to just kind of hide those until it's something that you're going to use.
And I think we have a quick question from the chat as well, just to read it out for the group. So who enters all the data on attendance and how much direct access do job seekers have? So on that part of it, we do have a online platform that allows you to either, if we want to have them enter that themselves with that portal, or we have it guided in this platform, but we do have the capability for both to track that piece. If they're using our online portal, that will automatically be recorded when they attend, so we can track metrics and see the success of, let's say, our virtual job events or kind of events kind of going online. So that's all automatic for that piece.
This is Justin again.
Yes.
Sorry. Quick question. Is this portal for the respective data input elements, are those going to be distributed out to their various employers, government programs, or is that a portal that EDD is going to be at and all the other entities connecting with a portal that hosted EDD? So I'm just trying to understand. I understand we will definitely have a data lake, if I can call it that, where we're hosting all of this data, but I'm just wondering about the portal and the data entry elements.
Jaime, do you want to speak from the EDD side? Because some of the things we're talking about obviously are maybe a little outside of the scope of the specific CalWire, at least at this phase. So Jaime, do you want to address that one? Or?
Yeah, I can definitely address it from the EDD side. The current system that we use, which is for us is going to be CalJobs, is going to continue to be the repository and the system of record for all our data. The intention of this particular effort, and this is to share data with other partners and having a platform by which to be able to share data, but the repository for us and the system of record is going to continue to be our CalJobs system. I would imagine that for the others that do participate in this program, it would likely be the same.
So, so for non-job components of this, which I think SNAP is that the food and nutrition program?
Correct.
Okay, so for people who are for entities that are going to be supplying that information, is that something they're hosting on at their respective agencies or sites, or is that something that will be hosting that portal for information as well?
And I know we have folks from social services on who may want to chime in on that, but I'll kind of speak to the concept here is that the system is flexible enough to provide options where it can integrate with existing systems, such as what we're doing with CalJobs. If they don't have an existing system or don't want to use the existing system, Launchpad has that capability for case management as well. So that's an area where data can get inputted and be housed. And then the third category is the portals, as we talked about. That data can come in from the client themselves through the portal, whether it's their mobile device and they log in or at their computer, whichever. So those are really kind of the three entry points for data. So each partner will essentially have, I think starting out, it's going to be integrating with existing systems, but then some may already have access to Launchpad and will be sharing data that way. So the system is really flexible enough to bring in the data from multiple sources, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So, I know Jaime addressed EDD's data source. This whole CalWire thing that's going to be hosted on within EDD as well, right? As the common data lake.
I'm sorry. So who's talking? I apologize. I didn't catch the name.
This is Justin. I'm here representing Deanna Mustybrook.
Okay, Justin, do you mind if we take some of these questions offline? As AJ or somebody pointed out earlier, we're scheduling a separate conversation and demo with ITV specifically and ISO, so we can talk through some of these types of questions. I just don't want to take up all of the time for this particular presentation since we have other entities on to answer all of the technical questions around this. If that's okay, I'd like to continue with the presentation. And on the EDD IT side and ISO side, we're definitely scheduling a second presentation and demo with the vendor for all of you so we can talk through this stuff.
All right, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Jerry, go ahead.
Yes, you got it. Okay. And just going back to Abby's question on attendance, so just to kind of piggyback what Brian said about different agencies are doing it different ways. Now, before COVID-19, when folks would show up at a job fair in San Francisco, they had a little iPad where they could do a self-check-in. For the more training courses, like let's say a truck driving course, our out-of-the-box application has a way to take mass attendance. So with the click of a button, you get the full list of all the job seekers who have been enrolled, and then you can mark them present or no-show. So a lot of flexibility with attendance taking. Okay, so we'll just go through the dashboard, some high-level data points, and then we'll want to leave some time for additional questions and wrap up. So as you can see, there's multiple ways that we can display the data. Not only different charts, there's different color schemes, different ways to group the data. So I tried to give you a bit of a flavor of kind of the different ways we can look at it. So what we're seeing at the top are the new job seekers that have gone through common intake, and then we can look at that by month. We can look at job seekers by any type of information captured, demographics, etc. So here we're looking at the new job seekers and what their education level was at the point of program entry. Same thing for employment, and then also capturing hot jobs and looking at hot jobs by employment type, capturing the skills that have been gained. So as we talked about, whether it's through partner services or attending training courses, and then we're tracking what type of skills have been gained, certifications, and this is kind of a high level of all the ones that have come in. We also do type of dashboards where if a case manager is looking at a dashboard, they're only going to see the job seekers that they are managing. So it could change, and it could be, if there's a manager over all the case managers, they can see data for their team, right? So not only different ways to chop it up on this dashboard, different ways that we can present it to the user who is looking at the data. And then down here, we just have a few charts related to referrals. So this could be, all referrals that we've received in the current fiscal year that just started. We could look at the referrals by partner, referrals by program, and then again, you could also look at referrals by partner and outcome. So you can see which ones have actually been completed, etc. So just to kind of give you just a high level glance, again, if you are capturing the information in Launchpad, we can report on it and then display it within a dashboard.
Jerry, if I could add to this on the dashboard, I think for purposes of CalWire, we'll be setting up an executive dashboard, but really, one thing this will do is to be able to look at how many referrals are actually being created and who those referrals are being sent to, right, by which programs. So we'll be able to look at a macro, high-level view across the state, essentially, and say, here's how many people obviously are eligible for, Title I or adult, but how many people were sent over for CalFresh ENT? How many people were sent over for Voc Rehab? So that's really, great macro level data, right? Because we can start to see the flow and the eligibility, or here I go with eligibilities, the matches of people, throughout the state. So I think that that's one piece of information that's going to be really interesting. I think the other thing is to be able to start to really look at demographic data on these folks across the programs, right? So not just within data that's within CalJobs, but also, from the other partner programs, being able to look at the macro demographic data as that is coming into Launchpad. You'll be able to see that. So there's a lot of charts on here. You don't want to get lost on all the charts, but just so we can narrow in on a few important data points and really show that data to you all in real time. And Jerry, sorry to interrupt on that. I think there was another question that came in. Question from Catherine here. Are their color schemes completely customizable, or are they set options? Not sure if your question is specific to the charts and reports or if it's about the entire system, but colors, branding, look and feel is all very configurable. It does not require code to do that. So Jerry, maybe you want to speak to the ability to tailor the charts and the dashboards based on branding.
Yes. So like AJ said, in addition to the various charts, you can have a background color. You can change the color of the data that's showing up. Also, while this might not apply to hot jobs, you also have the ability, when it shows this metric of 12, you can kind of have a gauge of, okay, if it's 5 or under, then it's in the red, or it's in the yellow and the green. So for some of these metrics, you can change. It's conditional, and then you define that within the report. And then you can go as custom as you like. Now that is something that will be built on top of the platform. But a lot of just out of the box, and what you'll find is dashboards, it's all drag and drop functionality. So just by clicking, we'll just do a quick look here. So there's various ways that we can then display the data. And then as we talk, so we can change up the colors. Here's where you add the conditional, and I'm just going to save it, update it. So you'll see it's very simple. Same with the reports. All of this is a drag and drop interface, no programming background needed.
Exactly.
Great, thanks, Jerry.
Go ahead, Ajay.
Oh, Brian, yeah, I want to open it up for questions because we have 8 minutes left. So we'll thank you all for submitting questions in the chat, and we can also open it up, I guess, if folks want to unmute themselves one at a time. I don't know, maybe that's bad advice, but the question did come in about ADA compliance. So this is because we're built on top of the Salesforce platform, our application complies with their VPAT and their ADA compliance. You do have any customizations to the system do need to be tested after the fact, but it is ADA compliant, and we actually have staff here within Launchpad who utilize those features. So it does enable folks to. I guess the answer is yes, it is ADA compliant. You do need to retest upon any customizations just to make sure that and such. So. And another question came in about clients here in California. So we do have clients that are in the process of sharing data in San Francisco between the Human Services CalFresh ENT side and the WIOA, but specifically First Source hiring programs. So WIOA department and the Human Services department are in the process of sharing data, and they're both utilizing Launchpad. One of the things, which is a point that I want to bring out, is that the Launchpad data model is built on top of the Pearl the Department of Labor's participant individual record layout. We did that intentionally so that all the data model can be consistent across partners and programs. So they're able to share data, between the two agencies. We're in the process of doing that type of integration, but yes, that can be done. And if someone had a question, I'm going to read another question here, but if someone wanted to just speak once, feel free.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a question here about a participant self-directed application. So yes, we do have this. And this is part of the kind of portals, the client-facing that we have. So essentially, the common intake that you saw, we can expose that externally, so that way, instead of having to go through and manually fill that out, they'll actually qualify and be able to answer all those online. And that's really what we're seeing a lot of the focus going forward. A lot of times mobile friendly. Everything built here is mobile friendly, by the way. So they can really focus on that and fill that out just at kind of a tap of these screens as they're going through it. So great question.
Another question, Brian, you may want to answer this one.
So currently right now, we do have multiple avenues. With CalJobs, we are using APIs, and we support a variety of them. Really, almost any API we have, SOAP, REST, we do support that from a technical perspective. So yes, we do support those integrations, and that's what we're currently doing with CalJobs on that end.
Any other questions?
And if you do have more questions, please continue to type them. We'll answer as they come through. Just one other item to call out too, as well, as long as we're looking at dashboards and reports. This is also very customizable. So if you do need to run a report and analyze any particular piece of data, there's no code with that. It's something that all end users can be taught, and you can pull that data if you want to give them that permission. So it's very, very user-friendly on that aspect.
Brian, do we provide the APIs, or do those come from the other systems?
We have the APIs with Launchpad, and then we build a bridge to the other systems API currently. And if there is something that's maybe a little technical, maybe if there is something that we need additional help, that's honestly what our implementation team is here for, to really do that coding solution. But typically we have that there already for you to provide that connection. So if you want to integrate into Launchpad, we'll work hard to make that happen. We have that there.
As additional questions come in, I think it'd be good to revisit the roadmap briefly. And Brian, I don't know if you can share that, or I can share my screen, and maybe Jaime, if you want to be available for this as well, but just kind of revisit and let folks know when specific capabilities will be coming online, within the current scope of work. So folks can kind of zoom out again and know what to expect. Is that for me to share? I think so.
Yes,
okay, great. So we're back to the roadmap. So we can revisit this again, Brian. Where are we at currently? What's coming online next? And
yeah, so currently right now, we're in the process of finalizing the integration pieces. So really getting that all there. We just are finalizing the architecture and discovery session. There's a few items we're getting back as far as information, but we're really starting to go into the details of this. So really looking at the plan and how we're going to make this all possible and getting that detail. To look at this as well a little bit and more in depth, they are broken into sprints, and each one of them is presented to the team as we're going through that. So that way they get to see what's going to be able at the beginning, and then also there's a mid sprint demo to make sure we're on track, and the very end is a sign off. So that way, all the pieces that we went through, you saw all the different aspects. It's very carefully controlled, and we can take something that might have a lot of different pieces and make it so that we can basically go through and say, yes, all this is a quality build, and make sure that meets all expectations. So there's no surprises. that's how we're kind of currently going through this currently to do that part of it. The end piece of it that's going to be coming up is going to be after this build here is complete, that's in progress, the client UAT. So we will be getting that live user feedback and really making sure that anything else that needs to occur, we take care of that there to make sure we meet those expectations. And you can see the last part of this, the production deployment, we have dedicated people there to make sure that everything's successful. So that way there's not any worries or stress. We're going to have people just watching to make sure that as they go live, anything that does occur, just in case, we're going to be there to take care of that. So it's a very controlled implementation. And you can see too, because Launchpad is configured with all that experience and workforce development experience, it's not a large timeline. It's not years or even half a year. It's only a little over 2 months on this timeline.
That's great, Brian. I think we're at time. Jaime, was there anything else you wanted to share with the team? Hopefully we covered the points that you were wanting us to cover.
Nothing else at this point. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate everybody's time and the opportunity to present CalWire to everybody. I think this is, again, just to emphasize the intention of WIOA was obviously to partner as much as possible, and this brings us together in a way, especially with COVID-19 and the situation we're in, to be able to continue to collaborate and partner, whether it's at AJCCs virtually or in person. And this is the best way that we would be able to do it. So especially considering the circumstances that I think we're going to need to continue virtual services for a while, this will help us continue to be able to partner. So really appreciate everybody's participation.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Jaime. Thanks, everyone. Hope everyone has a great and safe weekend, and I'm sure we will all be in touch soon. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
This is Mark from Department of Rehab. Thanks for the invite. Look forward to talking with you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ.
Great. Thank you. Bye, team.